This episode of the PC Perspective Podcast is brought to you by Lenovo. See more at Lenovo.com. Hey everybody, this is the PC Perspective Podcast, episode 396, being recorded on April 20th, 2016. I'm Ryan Schrout.
I'm Jeremy Hillstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
And I'm Alan Malventano.
If you feel the need to make a 420 joke, please do so now so we can get it out of the way.
Blaze it?
Okay, that was one. Anybody else?
I thought the sweet meteor of death says everybody should get stoned today. I thought that was amusing. The Twitter. You didn't see that?
Okay. No, I don't follow that on Twitter. No.
Yeah.
Hey, but hilarious nonetheless. Hilarious.
I laughed. I cried.
Thanks for joining, everybody. We do record the show on Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific at pcper.com/live. If you need a reminder, you can go to pcper.com/subscribe, and you will get this little handy page here that asks for your name and email address. We send you an email a couple of hours beforehand in an attempt to, remind you of our live events, et cetera, things of that nature. So we've got that going for you if you want to do that. And also just another reminder, if you go to pcper.com/podcast, you can find all the back episodes, all the ways that you can subscribe to us and that type of stuff as well. Also worth noting, actually, I'll take this out here, go to pcper.com/podcast, the very URL that I told you to visit, and demonstrate that you can actually get our podcast on the Google Play Store. Now, if you're looking for a different way to subscribe, maybe you don't want to use iTunes, and God love you. Maybe you have
I only
an
watch
device.
it through QuickTime on Windows 10.
Yeah, that's the same way I do it.
But if you have an Android device, you can now subscribe to our audio version. The video version is approved, but it didn't go up or anything yet. But if you go to pcper.com/podcast, you can get a link to our Google Play Store RSS subscription fee, whatever you want to call it. You subscribe that way through your tablet or phone device, what have you. I'd like to point out, before we get started here, Alan, do you see this little connector?
I do.
Do you see how it's like bent?
Oh, it doesn't look happy.
What connector does that remind you of?
Ken's
Apple thing?
Ken's
All
lightning
Apple Lightning
what?
connectors?
Why is it Ken's cable?
Listen, I don't know what it is. Like Ken, even my wife. Like
They all do that.
No,
Yeah, they're all awful cables.
I have like 3 of those cables that I use, and not a single one is messed up.
You're funny then.
I don't.
Every cable, lightning cable ever, tries to break at the end of the plastic.
Because there's no reinforcement.
There's no reinforcement, and you've got sharp edges all the way around it.
And it just goes
It's
from
stupid.
hard
And this is not a
edge-
lightning
like,
connector.
It
This is a Type-C connector.
has no cable relief. Right?
Yeah.
So make
Why
your
would they do
cables
such
better.
a thing?
Anchor actually makes a pretty good lightning cable.
Anker.
Yeah, the charger
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
They make a pretty good. You still got to pay like $10 for like the Apple tax thing or whatever. But
Of course you do.
Yeah.
Also, another reminder here for our Patreon as well. Patreon.com/PCPer.
You can make the other one work.
I could, yeah, and then I would be able to figure that out. So if you go here, you can become one of our monthly contributors to PC Perspective. As we have done in past weeks, if you make a contribution or increase your contribution during the live stream, I will mention your name, however stupid you make it or whatever. I think I got taken on one of them last week. It was pretty funny. Totally worth it. So you go through this. You can help us hit some milestones. If we hit the $3,000 a month goal, we'll do our the mailbag type show where we answer a bunch of questions about technology and computers in your personal life on a once a week basis as well. And I really think everybody really, really, really wants Josh to talk about personal life questions.
is that also included in the $3,000?
Yeah, it's part of the mailbag. Like you can send tech questions or non-tech questions, and we'll answer them.
Okay. The non-tech
Josh
questions.
Tech, because you know what?
Yes. The non-tech questions go to Josh Tech. Right?
Everybody needs a warning sign of what not to do.
This is true, right? And that's as good a start. That's as good a start as any.
All right.
Also worth noting here as well, as I look through, and it looks like I lost a page out of here. The if our audio sounds different or better or worse, I guess that's possibly a thing we're doing on purpose. We have a compressor in line, so we're trying to keep... Basically, this is to try to keep Josh's volume in check. When he gets really excited about process technology, we're trying to bring him down a level.
It should keep all of us... Ideally, all of us should be a little easier to hear when we're being quiet. Like if you're in your car, you shouldn't have to readjust the volume as much as the different people are talking and whatnot. And when people get loud, they shouldn't get that much louder. Just their voice should sound like it's louder.
La 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 la.
Just not actually louder.
La 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 la.
And
I don't know if that's working or not like it's supposed to. But.
When none of us are talking, it should pretty much go like dead silent, like nobody's background noise. So
super exciting for a podcast.
And a hush fell over the crowd.
Yeah, yeah. So when there's dead air, it should really be dead air.
Really didn't follow it at all.
Yeah, I know.
He didn't pass grade school.
I just let it go.
Whoosh. So anyway, we'll go on to our content here. We've got a couple of quick things up front.
I do have a quick question.
Oh, yes, sir.
So whenever you guys have gone to Texas, have any of you been to Torchy's Tacos?
Yep.
Nope.
Yeah. There was one pretty close to me when I lived in Austin.
Wow, that was... I experienced that in my trip this last week, and boy, they have great breakfast.
Yeah, they have great somethings. I assume you said breakfast tacos?
Breakfast tacos.
Yeah. Actually, I don't think I ever went there for breakfast. I always went there for drunk, which is after dinner.
Kind of a full bar.
And it could happen at breakfast time, but it's definitely not breakfast.
They do serve alcohol at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah, I honestly, I tried to retain my drunk to not at 10 o'clock in the morning. But
anyway, just as an aside, because...
It is really good. It's really good.
Yeah.
Qdoba up here did something recently to try to emulate that, where it's like you can get, I think they have 10 different named tacos, right? Soft shell tacos that have like specific ingredients.
Yeah, like
which I actually prefer.
Rancher and...
I prefer to don't give me an unlimited selection of things that I can put on it because I will almost always get the same thing, right? Give me 10 different options and I will try all 10 of them, right? Like with pre-configured tacos, right? Yeah. You know, and I'm not talking like beef burrito supreme and crap like that, right? I want actual
Uncle Jose's
Taco Bell on the way home. It sounds like
toilet ripper.
Yeah, I don't want that one.
I had Taco Bell today, and I feel like I've lost 2 years off my life.
Yes, Qdoba is the equivalent of a Chipotle, but I like it better than Chipotle. It has a little bit more options, including those new tacos. This podcast is brought to you by Qdoba. It is not, actually. Should have had Qdoba for dinner. Let's talk about a couple of real quick items on the front of our list here. It's starting with the Phanteks Eclipse P400S Silent Edition mid-tower case. Lee wrote this review up for us this week. It is available in some different configurations. You can see you've got different colors. You've got windowed and not windowed. There's little LED lights on the front of them. It's satin black, glacier white, and anthracite gray.
Yeah.
Anthracite?
You are correct, sir.
Anthracite is
what is an anthracite?
It's a type of stone mineral.
It's a mineral.
But so it's not an animal.
Yeah.
Nope.
No.
I mean, it's not edible.
Well, I mean,
it's not a tumor.
These are all good things. So Lee put this review up for us. If you want to take a look at that, it seems like a pretty decent mid-tower case. Again, there are a billion of these. The one we got is the non-windowed satin black. You can tell from the matte finish on the side panel there. No glare.
Compared to piano black.
Yes, otherwise known as fingerprint black. Seems like a decent chassis. Lighted power button. Color changes with the LED lighting. That's actually kind of neat, right? As you change the LED colors, the power button color changes. I like the angles and the edging at the top. This is not a photo. He took this more of a rendering. It kind of makes it stand out a little bit better. But looks like it's got sound dampening material at the top and the side panels. And because you don't have a window, they can apply that to all four sides of the case, which is a significant advantage. It still has one of those rear release filters for the power supply that I wish would die.
I think you're just gonna have to give it up. I think it's the way it's.
You don't think anybody's ever gonna fix it?
Doesn't seem like it.
Am I the only one that has that problem?
You don't like the filter in the back?
Not in the back, because like if your computer is against the wall, right? then you have to move your case to remove the filter.
Or in one of those, kind of hutch desks where it's actually in
or even
a
if it's
thing.
just sitting on the top of your desk, you scoot it to the back.
You don't generally
You gotta fight the
leave.
spaghetti tangle of cables in the back.
Right.
It's just a pain in the
You gotta
arse.
slide it out 90 degrees.
I had that problem even more so when I think like the first case that had that filter, so it was like a cool novel thing. It was like the 800D. What was the first Corsair case? 800D, I'm going to say. And it had one of those. It was really cool, but I had like the way my desk was set up is like the cables were very taut coming into the back of the computer.
Yeah.
So moving it away from the wall was actually meant I had to disconnect cables. So I was unscrewing DVI connections and stuff to make all that occur, and it was a pain in the ass. Like a lot of Phanteks cases, they do a great job in terms of cable routing on the back, kind of self-integrating. They integrate Velcro ties at the back, so they're not zip ties. They're reusable. They're easy to move cables in and out of, which is, I think, a pretty big advantage. And there you can see the LED with the front panel removed. Shows a strip of 9 LED lights along the bottom that can produce 10 different colors depending on your mood or color coordination, I guess. And then there's the top of the button that corresponds with the LEDs otherwise. So a really decent case. Let me see what the price of it is when he published this. $79. This is a crowded section of the market.
Yeah.
Sebastian asks in the chat room, how else would the filter slide out? It could slide out the side.
The side.
Good.
Yeah. Like, duh,
Even if you-
I solved the
whether you've got a
engineering
routing.
problem. Or it could come out the front if you have like a really long...
It depends on where the intake. If the intake
Well,
is
if the
in
intake's
back,
only in the back, that's fine. But like,
Yeah.
imagine those old CD cases we talked about when we grew out at my house last week, right? Where the CD is at one end and you just had this plastic frame the rest of the way. You just have that for your filter.
Or do it so that it slides out to the side, or magnetically attached with a tiny little paddle that comes out to the side. So you just reach in, pop.
Yeah.
I like
slide
the
it out.
magnetic ones
Easy.
that are just like sit in a little indentation.
Yeah. As
the
long as
magnetic ones help because they're flexible, so it doesn't really matter. It solves the problem.
I would
a bit.
imagine getting that back on the bottom of the case would be difficult, though. Like getting it positioned correctly.
Well, that's why magnetic
guess.
would be better, because it will go to where it wants to.
Yeah, just
Well,
kinda-
but it's just attaching to metal. Most of the ones I've seen are the magnets
Yeah,
are on
you
the,
have
on
to
the filter,
align
and you
it
have to
yourself.
align it yourself
Yeah.
on top or whatever. But if you made it where like a tablet case where it kind of snapped into place,
yeah,
type of thing, you might be able to figure something like that
might
out.
be too fancy for what they're trying to engineer.
But what if you get lobster interference?
Excuse me?
Do you guys ever watch anything on the internet?
Apparently not, Josh. I'm worried about them.
What are you talking about?
Lobster sticks to magnet. Have you never experienced that?
Have you never seen that?
Oh wait, you're telling me a truthful thing?
Sure. Yeah.
Yes, for the love of God.
Lobster.
Where were you in
sticks to
2000?
Lobster
Oh, don't answer that.
I was graduating high school in 2000. Thank you very much.
Well, then you should have been the target audience of lobster sticks to magnet.
I mean, I might have been the target audience, but I just do not remember anything like that. Ryan's Googling.
No, I'm telling Sebastian is complaining in the chat that my dream computer case would be an engineering nightmare, and I don't understand why a side release
How is this a problem?
filter is a problem. But hey, Sebastian sees a lot more. I'll be honest, Sebastian looks at a lot more cases than I do. So there's that. So very good case. Check out the review. It is the Phanteks Eclipse P400S Silent Edition, which means it has all that sound dampening material. So check that out. We do have another review courtesy of outgoing employee of the day.
Of the day?
I mean, look, I don't want to like shower a bunch of BS on him now he's leaving, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Ken wrote up a quick review of the Lenovo Yoga 700. This is it's an ultrabook, but also a 2-in-1, depending on what random Intel terminology you want to use.
It's convertible.
So it's a 2-in-1.
Is this
Yeah.
what they're arguing about in that TV commercial about the going through airline security that you don't have to do?
No, on that one it separates.
Bud Light.
This one only folds itself in half,
Like a laptop?
like a Yoga.
Like, hey, Ryan.
Folds the other way.
You got one in
Gotcha.
front of you.
Yeah, but it's connected to these cables, and
Well, that's the
one
other
of them
yoke.
one of these cables look like it's going to break.
That's a Yoga. Yeah.
So this
So
is
you
the,
could just go to that
this is
picture
the
in my
Yoga.
review.
The one I have here that we're using for our streaming setup here is a Yoga 900.
Yep.
The Yoga 700 is one Ken reviewed, and it's a little bit lower cost.
Doesn't have the watch band hinge.
Does not have the watch band hinge. Which
If you can think back to the original Yoga and the Yoga 2,
It looks more like
it'll
that.
be very familiar.
okay.
Yeah.
As they've innovated on the high end, they've kind of kept this low end machine with the same basic design that this has just gotten cheaper and cheaper over the years.
Yeah.
And now you can get the version we reviewed here for under $900. It's like $850 on Amazon today.
Every time I
bad.
see a picture of a Yoga doing this, I think of Josh. Josh is very.
I've never stretced in that.
He's a very
direction
flexible
before,
young
but
man. He's a very flexible young man. He goes into tent mode quite often.
only under the sheets.
Oh man. So what? I mean, Ken, what stood out about this? Like, this page we're talking about, like keyboard, trackpad, good, bad. On this.
The keyboard is pretty good. The trackpad, I'm not a big fan of. It had some tracking issues when I was using it.
These I know are kind of like mushy. They're not super clicky. Like on my XPS 13, it's a very rigid, like click you make. On the Yogas, it tends to be the opposite. It's kind of a softer touch. I don't know if that's a preference thing or if there's like a true. This one is better than the other. I tend to prefer the clicky style myself. I think that's your opinion too, Ken.
Yeah, on the Yoga 700, it just felt too mushy. You didn't necessarily know which register
So
to
this
click.
one's pretty good on this 900.
So you didn't get a whole lot of tactile feedback. It's usable. It could use some work. It's not like it, as for the next generation. I'd like to see that improved.
Yeah,
but it isn't a deal breaker.
Okay. I know I think the click on things like the MacBooks and this XPS 13 is too loud, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Like when my baby is asleep on the couch, I actually
your touchpad wakes up your kid.
No, but I don't think it ever has. But I get nervous about it, so I start doing the finger tap as opposed to the click.
That's a loud touchpad.
Right?
Man.
I mean, listen to this. Oh, and now we got a compressor. You can't.
Yeah,
hear
the
anything.
compressor is
Touchpad by Cherry MX, right?
I mean, you hear that? That's for people in the room, not on the podcast or watching the video.
like a cherry switch for your touchpad.
It is.
It's like a buckling spring switch.
Can I interest you in a MacBook with a Force Touch touchpad where you can configure that?
You can't actually.
You can.
No,
Yeah, it
you
doesn't
can't
click.
interest me is what I meant.
You can.
It doesn't
You
have
can
a
configure
click.
But you asked, could you interest me? And I said no.
It's a force feedback click. It's a haptic click. It's not even a click, right?
Yeah, if it's as long as it's quiet or
It's
whatever.
just pressure sensitive. It doesn't even have an actual.
If we look at the specs of this, the Lenovo Yoga 700 compared to that XPS 13 and compared to a Yoga 900, processor-wise, you're matching what the Skylake generation XPS 13 has. You got 8 gigs of memory, 256 gig SATA SSD instead of a PCIe SSD. That sucks, but it's really not that big of a deal, right? In terms of performance that you're going to see or feel in the device.
I mean,
for
just doing
a
laptop stuff
you're talking
on
about
it.
a dual-core hyper-threaded part anyway.
yeah.
So, whatever. It is a 14-inch screen, 1080p resolution, touch-enabled in this case, 45 watt-hour battery, $899 price tag. So you can see if you compare it to those two devices, it's significantly less expensive. It is noticeably less expensive than the Yoga 900, which you do expect, and the XPS 13, which maybe you should expect as well, since this is somewhat a lower cost. It's got 3 USB 3.0 ports, right? One of which doubles as your power input. Is that right, Ken?
Yeah, so it's
It's this orange one here.
It's the oddly shaped USB plug we've seen from Lenovo. It's not a Type-C connector that you're charging through. It's a proprietary plug that a USB port will still plug into.
Right. So it's a Type A plus a power.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you can use it when you're not plugged into power. You can use it as.
If you're plugged into power, you can't use it as a USB port. If
Right.
you're not, then you have a third USB port. Correct. Otherwise, looks like you've got, is that a Type-C connector?
No, it's micro HDMI, which is one of my
Oh.
biggest beefs with this laptop.
God.
Yeah.
Micro HDMI should never be on a laptop.
Especially one that size. Like it can support a regular HDMI size connector on the side of it, right? If you have Type A,
It'd be close.
Regular
maybe.
HDMI would be a stretch, but mini DisplayPort. Mini DisplayPort is what this
Oh,
should have, so you can
yeah.
hook up a 2560 by 1440 display, like I do on my MacBook all of the time. It's fine for productivity with these Intel GPUs.
Right.
You're obviously not going to game, but you were going to do that anyways.
I think they might be doing it for like projector compatibility still at this point, maybe.
But nothing has a micro HDMI Like no one has micro HDMI.
You would need an adapter cable.
Yes, but you already do anyways.
Even mini HDMI would be better.
Yeah. Mini HDMI you can at least find on things like GoPros, and you might have a cable lying around. But micro,
like Best Buy will have an adapter for mini. You might struggle to hit micro.
They're cell phone cables essentially, are what you have to buy.
You were going to say something, Jeremy?
I'm just it's ridiculous form factor.
Yeah.
No micro HDMI, micro anything just annoys the hell out of me because good luck finding an adapter.
Yeah.
Except for the one that might ship with it, and as soon as you lose it or it breaks, you're screwed.
I don't think this one did.
Even if they bundled it with a micro to full size, like a little adapter cable, it would be way better. But the fact that they give you nothing in the box is just, I hate it.
If we look at performance, it's kind of where we would expect it to be in the scheme of things. Core i5 6200U.
It's a Skylake Ultrabook. I mean, it'll perform well for most people's productivity tasks.
Yep.
Like, you should kind of know what these do by now.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to stand out. It's not a gaming machine. It's, if you wanted to play Counter-Strike Go on it, you could probably do that, but that's probably it. I was still disappointed in the battery life on it.
I don't exactly know.
Just under 5 hours.
Ooh.
Which is probably okay normally, but you compare it to like the Surface Pro 4, the XPS 13. XPS 13 got over 6.5 hours with the same processor.
I don't particularly understand where the performance hit's coming from.
I don't know.
Superfish.
Yeah. Normally I would have said, hey, this is like a higher resolution screen issue.
Yeah.
But it's 1080p screen.
1080, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's not
It's the lowest resolution of the bunch.
Yeah. Well, I think this XPS 13 was a 1080p version of it.
But no, the Skylake one we have is the higher resolution version.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, it's a little odd, especially considering it has a 6 watt-hour larger battery than the Surface Pro 4.
Oh.
The Surface Pro 4 has the larger resolution screen as well. That has like the 3000 by 2000 or some equivalent there, nearly of. But in terms of pricing, it's really hard to beat it. It looks like it was for sale for $840 on Amazon when Ken wrote this, $899 directly from Lenovo. It's about $250 to $300 less than the other two options we compared it to. So a very good laptop if you're looking for a lower priced 2-in-1. I wouldn't call it a budget notebook, right? At $899.
Yeah. People are giving me crap in the chat for my title, where I say good things can come cheap. It's not a cheap laptop; it's a cheap Ultrabook.
Yeah.
Here at PC Perspective, we compare things by specification, and if you look at other laptops with the same specs, this is one of the cheapest options, and it's still a high quality product.
Yeah, you could get obviously much cheaper machines, but you're going to have different trade-offs, whether that be form factor or capability or whatever it is. So we also have, so we got the 900 here. Is this the same size screen as the 700?
No, I think the 700 is a 14, and that's a 13.
Okay. All right.
Just slightly off.
Yeah. So if you're interested in that, if you think maybe the Yoga 700 might be a laptop that you want to check out, we have that review up on the website, which is pcpro.com. Also, quickly, I do want to talk about mostly a video that we put together, but there's an article to go along with it called Breaking Down MSI's Gaming Notebooks. The general story here is if somebody comes to you and says, hey, I want to buy a gaming laptop, would you have any idea what to tell them?
Don't.
Yeah, I mean, kind of.
But like, if somebody comes to you and says, hey, I want to buy a gaming laptop, which one should I get?
I don't usually have like a off the hip kind of recommendation.
Most people don't. You're right. Even I don't. And I do this for a living.
Yeah.
And I don't think any of us really follow this stuff. Like I was just flabbergasted when I, asked MSI, give me all the details of all the current Skylake gaming laptops you have, and it was
how big of a list?
There were 27 options.
Holy
27 gaming laptops. The GE series, all the configurations offered. The GT series, the configurations offered. So I was like, okay, this seems kind of crazy to me. Why don't you send me one of each of the series of laptops that you have, and I'm going to do a comparison and kind of see, like, if you're this kind of consumer, you should buy a GE. If you're this kind of consumer, you should buy a GT.
Right.
This kind of consumer, get the GT80. So they did that, actually, surprisingly. They sent me 6 different gaming notebooks, starting with the GE62 Apache Pro, which was $1299, all the way up to the GT80S Titan SLI, which is a $33.99 laptop. That's $3,399.
Wow.
And that's not even the most expensive one. I think they have, what was it, $47.99 or something? Or $44.99 is the most expensive
Only
one?
1080p for the top end?
Yeah.
Aye.
So here's what's interesting, right? If you look at this table, you can get a pretty good idea of why they sent these, right? So I would actually really encourage you guys to go watch the video because it kind of gives you detail on what the GE series, the GS series, GT72, GT80, and kind of what the spectrum is across that. So like, for example, the GE series is 15.6 or 17.3 inch, only 1080p. It's kind of your base machine, peaks at the GTX 970M GPU. The GS series peaks at the same GPU, GTX 970M, but you have like GS40, GS60, GS72, and those are different screen sizes. Those are different like form factors. The GS is kind of like, I think of it as slim. It's trying to make the smaller, thinner laptops, and those range from $1,599 to $2,149 depending on what performance you want, what screen resolution. Those are the only ones that are actually even offer a 4K screen, I think. Or just one of the GT72S's. I think one of the GT72s had a 4K screen.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Maybe. But, I mean, so the 17, like you mentioned, Josh, the GT80S with Titan SLI 980Ms only having a 1080p screen.
Yeah.
It's an 18.4 inch laptop, by the way. 18.4 inch. It has a mechanical keyboard, as a cherry brown mechanical keyboard into it. If you haven't seen it,
couldn't they get away with like 25 by 16 on that or something? Like maybe not 4K,
so
but
I'm curious because I don't know what the.
I think it's the panel size is the issue.
Yeah.
Is there a market?
Yeah.
Are there enough panel sizes? Is there an 18 inch 25 by 14 being made?
There's
Guess
probably only
not.
one 18.3
Right, because
inch
MSI is
panel.
not going to have MSI is not going to have the kind of like throughput to kind of
Sure.
get a panel vendor to make a specific size for them. So that's probably the reason for it. And 4K is too much, honestly. Right? If you're going to put even on a dual 980 laptop,
right.
4K screen is going to be a stretch, right? And so you're probably going to scale back and render at 1080p anyway.
Yeah.
So in which case,
that's what I was thinking, like maybe 25 by
benefit is there?
14.
25 by 14, I agree, would be the ideal for
Yeah.
both the GT72 and probably the GT80.
You would have to think they
Machines.
make that panel on that size.
I feel like I've seen one,
Yeah.
not on
It is an odd size of laptop.
18.4.
Yeah, you don't
it's an odd
see a
side
huge
for
market for it.
Yeah.
No, you don't. But
Yeah.
the 17.3 inch
Absolutely.
that is in the the GE and even the GT72 line, you would think maybe that might be an option in the near term.
Well, at least they went G-Sync though.
Yes,
least for
on
the
the
Dominator.
one we did look at there. There's not. I think there's 2 SKUs that have G-Sync support on the GT72S line. So I'm not doing a very good job of explaining on the podcast, but it's important to note, like,
You really need to look at this table on this side.
well, in the table even less so, because the table is showing you the 6 we got. The video goes
Right.
into more general terminology and
Here's the whole
assumptions you can
line.
make about, like,
Yeah.
I guess even this bulleted list on the article, right, where it talks about the GT72 series, for example, it ranges from $1,599 to $3,499
Yeah.
for that laptop line. They only have single GPUs. They have 17-inch screens. Some of them have G-Sync. They all have GPUs from the 970M to the 980M to the 980, the full size, not the mobile variant. They have 16 or 32 gigs of memory. They all use SSDs. They all have optical drives. They all have Thunderbolt. They all have 6 USB 3.0 ports on them. But they're bigger and heavier. They're like 9-pound laptops.
And some of these somehow do 4-way NVMe PCIe SSD RAID.
Right, with like this weird
Some
magic
kind
that
of
they're
weird,
doing,
like,
yeah.
it's like a 2.5-inch PCB that puts 2 M.2s on each side of it
Right.
and somehow connects. But I'm just more curious, like, how it actually does a RAID through the BIOS, because we've only ever done triple.
Right.
And somehow something in that chipset must support 4 somehow. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Like I said, go watch the video. We did some quick performance tests just to see, and keep in mind one thing: all of the processors on all 27 of these MSI laptops essentially perform identically.
Yeah.
They're all quad-core, hyper-threaded Intel Skylake processors that vary within 100 megahertz of each other. Some of the higher-end ones are overclocked, but they're not really overclocked out of the box. The 6 we had performed within 1 to 2% of each other in a multi-threaded benchmark.
And are these the ones that were like had a GUI to overclock the CPU?
No.
Okay.
No. But so the anything that has 6820 HK, you could overclock. I think maybe MSI Afterburner does that. I don't know if it does.
Maybe.
I don't know, but you can go into the BIOS and do it that way.
So potentially you can get a little bit more.
So the most important thing in terms of like your gaming performance for gaming laptop is going to be your GPU, obviously.
No, it's not. It's going to be which one goes over 9.99 pounds.
Oh, well, there's only one. Actually, I don't even think the GT80 goes over 9.99. I think it's only 9.9 pounds. Oh, no.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you and goodbye.
You're welcome.
That'll be later.
So,
yes.
For me, looking at all this, I know there's a lot of people in the chat talking about why would you ever spend this much money on a laptop. You're never going to make the argument that a gaming laptop is the most cost-efficient way to game. It's
Not really.
not. It's never going to be.
Yeah. You have to really want portability.
You want portability. You want single system. You know, there are reasons to do it.
Yeah.
And
your
clearly,
battery,
because they sell a lot of these things.
And your
It's a
battery is
huge
pretty much
growing
just
market.
an UPS
Yeah, it's basically a UPS to keep you from losing data.
between outlets.
Especially if you're gaming, don't try to game on the battery.
The power went out.
Actually, everything throttles down when you are gaming on battery,
Yeah.
right? Because the maximum current output of the battery, regardless of how much capacity it has, the current output of the battery can only stand like 100 watts or something.
Yeah.
Whereas for
the C rating of the battery,
300 watts on a
Yeah.
GT80. So the most important part being your GPU performance. So you really kind of based on what your budget is and what your requirements are. Do you want something that's like thinner that you can fit into a normal backpack, or do you not care about that and you just want portability as opposed to mobility, which is maybe a little bit of semantics.
like you want to go to a LAN party and not bring a case.
Right. You know, there
It
are a
could
lot.
even boil down to, do you have a very small apartment that you can't really afford to put an entire desktop machine in?
Yeah, you
Could be that too.
Right? You
But
just hook
honestly-
it up to the TV, away you go.
Like at QuakeCon, there's a surprising number of people
Agreed.
that will bring laptops.
I agree. We didn't go last year, but the year before, I remember
Yeah.
being surprised how many people had MSI or ASUS or whatever
Yep.
gaming notebooks out there. It is a growing segment of this market, right? And if you have
especially
the
if they're
power of a
playing-
full GT 980, you can. If you have an external monitor at home, you can connect it and use it that way as well.
And especially if they're playing lightweight stuff on top of that. I mean, these are more beefy gaming
Yeah,
laptops,
yeah.
but like, I mean, there were people there even with like really lightweight kind of laptops just playing Minecraft.
That's true.
You know, it was more than enough for what they were doing. So
For me, I think the best value in all this is probably there's a GT72, so it's a bigger, it's an 8-pound, 1.9-inch thick or whatever laptop.
Yeah.
It's $1599. It's got a GTX 970M, 1080p screen, 16 gigs of memory, 128 gig SSD. It's probably the best balance of performance and power, right? So the GTX 970M is kind of equivalent to a desktop 960-ish or so, maybe a little bit less. But again, you're only gaming at 1080p on that local monitor. If you want the ultimate power, I'm still hesitant to recommend SLI anything. So the GT80 series, even though it's impressive with that enormous keyboard and 18-inch screen, I don't like depending on multi-GPU for performance, especially if you're going to make as significant as an investment as this with mobile gaming.
yeah,
To me, if you want like the maximum performance, I would get a GT72S with the full GTX 980 in it. Now it's probably a $3,500 machine or something like that.
That's not
that is a
upgradable.
GTX 980 consumer desktop class GPU in a mobile form factor.
Yes.
We did a test on that last year when they first released it. So if you're interested in that, or you have a friend that's interested in that, you say, hey, I want to look at gaming laptops, watch this video, go look at this article. It's not a full review of every device, but it's more of a, if you're if you go to Newegg or Amazon and look up MSI gaming laptop, you're going to get 25 plus results, and you're not going to have really an idea about what these do.
So Green LED in chat asked how many of these are VR capable.
So anything that has the full GTX 980 in it would be,
and an HDMI out. Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Has to have an HDMI out.
An HDMI out. That's a good point. And I think almost all of these do.
Yeah.
And a GTX 980M is very close. In my experience, if you overclock that at all,
Right.
it will pass.
Oh, you mean it
Remember,
like
we did a review of the
like not
EVGA
recommended on
SC17,
the... Okay.
and stock, it was like just on the edge of the yellow-green of the Steam VR recommended.
Gotcha.
And as soon as I overclocked it, eked itself over to the green side of that, and I'm positive it would do the same thing on the MSI machines.
Okay.
So, and I do find a lot of the VR enthusiasts that are talking on Twitter, Will Smith, Ben Kuchera, those guys, like they're looking to find a mobile solution to take VR with them to show people.
And that sounds like the higher end of those. And
they're buying an expensive gaming laptop.
Yeah.
So they can put it in a backpack, a big backpack, but a backpack, along with a Rift or a Vive or whatever it is, and go show somebody that.
A virtual reality
It's much
backpack.
easier than lugging a desktop.
GT72 comes with a backpack.
Yeah, the GT72. I'm sure did the GT80?
Yeah, it did.
Come with a backpack too? Yeah, have to. Otherwise, what else are you going to carry it in?
Take that big backpack off, you just go like
right,
this.
you just go like this, and you hold it up, and you reach out and take your laptop out. That's an inside joke that nobody will get. Because,
inside VR joke.
Yeah.
Wait, we're inside VR right now?
We are all inside
Yes,
VR. This show is actually being broadcast in VR. You guys didn't know that?
YouTube supports 360 video.
You guys could all be looking around the room.
I'm thinking reality is just VR anyway, so.
I saw that movie. It was pretty good.
It's just really good Magic Leap.
All right, so... Oh, you mean vaporware. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some sad news. Intel is going to get rid of 12,000 employees, approximately 11% of their workforce.
So I've got to ask, when the
12,000
CEO announced this,
Yeah.
did he say, we're going to lay off 12,000 employees?
No, because then he would have said million.
And that would have been much worse.
No, he probably said 1,200, and they're like, that's too low. And he's like,
yeah, yeah.
12,000.
Like 12,000, 1,200, that's not even like chump change. Oh, I meant
1%.
12,000.
So, Intel CEO announced yesterday, I guess it was, Tuesday, they're laying off 12,000 employees, 11% of its workforce. The latest sign of the company's struggle to adapt to the post-PC world.
They announced that they're going to.
Linked to the wrong story.
Which means it hasn't even happened yet.
Well, yes, they've announced it, and then they have to decide
now,
who it is.
So
now
now
they're going to have a lottery. Hunger Games Intel.
So now employee morale in general at Intel has just went ka-tink.
Well, I would think
Literally,
you'd be like
they are
super peppy and try to impress your manager.
They're decimating their workforce.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
there's,
they
That
are.
is 1 in 10.
Yeah, and then
gets
Hunger
kicked
Games.
out.
Hunger Games begins tomorrow. And then
so this sucks. I get it. People losing their jobs. It's awful. Intel's a huge company. They're going to get some kind of severance. They're going to get some kind of help finding other jobs. Although I would imagine there probably aren't 12,000 job listings in Silicon Valley
suddenly for that kind of a
those types
job.
of people.
Yeah, but it's also Arizona, Oregon.
Yeah.
Oh,
not
that's true.
just
Yeah,
Israel.
that's true.
Yeah, it's spread around.
So this story from Vox, this is just one I pointed towards, points to a mistake Intel made 10 years ago where they weren't in the iPhone. They chose not to make a chip for the iPhone, and that has kind of started this spiral. I regret choosing this story because it is like 100% saying that the PC's been dead for many, many years and that...
Of course it is. Haven't you heard?
Yes, it absolutely is.
We have the
dead.
last remaining ones on Earth in our office.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this story focuses way too much on smartphones. So Intel in their statement talked about, hey, we're going to shift our focus to IoT and was it server? Was it general server or was it IoT and like server cloud infrastructure? There you go.
Cloud infrastructure and the Internet of Thingies.
Yeah, and those two segments made up 60% of their profits over the last 2 quarters and only 40% of their costs, or their growth was 60% at 40% revenue. I don't know, something like that. They were basically saying that these were the only areas that were actually successful for us.
Sure.
And so the company was trying to prove internally that was the direction they should go. The growth shows that they should go that way, so they're going to go that way. So if you're in the IoT or cloud infrastructure division at Intel, it sounds like you're probably pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
If you're anybody else, you're probably not pretty good. And they talked about areas where we are losing or behind, or we clearly see that there's no future. They're just kind of like drop. So I'm curious, like what parts of
Can't
Intel
be their
that
chip
is.
stuff. Can't be their like
if,
CPU
if you're
design.
the guy at Intel that designs a toaster which can order its own bread over the internet and will take a picture of it to post up to Instagram every time it toasts bread,
Yeah.
you're brilliant.
Yeah.
You're utterly brilliant. The rest of you are kind of...
I don't.
And what's left? though. Like,
well, I'm thinking like the Atom line of stuff.
Okay.
Right? So you think the super, super low end side of things.
Maybe they'll just let AMD have that.
I think that's a possibility. I think there's a possible advantage for AMD on the super low end side of things where Intel may go, it turns out it's not worth us spending the investment to get into $200 and $300 machines.
They might be backing off of their what's the network security appliance thing, the McAfee stuff they bought, right?
Yeah.
They might back off that a little bit.
Well, if they bake it into the IoT, I wouldn't feel quite so bad about it. Like, that would be kind of nice, but yeah.
I don't see it going
I disagree.
away.
So one of the points of this story, and I've seen this in other places, is that the mobile revolution is leaving Intel behind, and that's why they're having all these problems. I disagree. I agree with that happened, but I think we're already past that.
Yeah.
Right? Qualcomm as a company was the dominant player in the mobile space.
Yep.
And they have seen declines, right?
Yes.
Right. So
yeah, but that's not because people aren't buying ARM chips. It's because people aren't buying ARM chips from Qualcomm because all these Chinese vendors are coming in.
Right. So what?
Qualcomm, I mean, like they're both being hurt by the same thing.
Intel, right? Yeah. Intel's goal was to become Qualcomm before Qualcomm started to lose its share.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it's try as hard as you might if you're Qualcomm or Intel. If you had made the right decision 10 years ago, it's pretty hard to compete against MediaTek and Rockchip, right? Because of their cost structure.
But you know what? Intel could do it. They have the infrastructure to actually produce chips cheaper than those other guys because they've invested that money on the PC side in foundry work, and they have the foundries there. And in fact, they bought up Altera to produce chips in their fabs that are underutilized.
Yeah.
But instead, I think Intel is kind of almost the quintessential not invented here. x86 is not great for power efficient. I mean, they've gotten better through the years. But when you look at from 1995 and beyond, it's been ARM because it was designed to be okay performance, but really good power efficiency. And x86, you've got to go through a bunch of hurdles to be able to get that architecture to be pretty power efficient. Yeah. And Intel had a huge advantage in their process technology and how much they invested in that. And if they would have adopted either, just license from ARM, I mean, they had a strong ARM thing that they bought up. That withered on the vine from, them not wanting to do that because, they're licensing technology from another company. It's we're Intel. We invented x86. We licensed that out to other people. We don't need that technology here. We've got the basis. We've got the engineers. We've got the process technology. It just turns out that x86 is harder to do as efficient in performance as what ARM is able to do at these low power constraints. Right. And so, boy, if I think if Intel had done something back in the early mid 2000s that like, hey, we're either going to emulate an ARM type architecture, but instead they tried to shoehorn x86 into the areas that
can we interest you in
they had larger hurdles to overcome to be able to be competitive to some of these architectures.
Yeah, I don't fundamentally disagree with that. It's just the company made a profit last quarter of $2 billion.
Yeah.
Right? And if you're one of those 12,000 employees that gets picked in the next quarter, and in quarter two, they're going to make probably around $2 billion in profit. You've got to be like, damn it. Right? Like,
F you management. I mean, you're trying to appease shareholders and you're not actually creating value for the company.
And this is the classic issues of publicly traded companies, right? So, like, they've made a profit of $2 billion, but their growth has slowed. Wall Street gets itchy about, oh, my God, in 14 more quarters, you're probably going to be dead. So we have to sell now.
14 more quarters.
Right, because that's what they're speculating out, right? The chances that Intel suddenly in 2 quarters is going to go from a $2 billion a quarter profit to losing money is fairly slim.
Right.
Well, you know that story of the, I think it was the Oklahoma oilman.
I don't.
Made millions of dollars, and his son was a spendthrift. and spending all money. And these reporters came up to him and said, "Isn't this a disaster? Your kid is doing this." And the guy scratched his head and said, "Boy, by my calculations, that kid's going to be bankrupt in 250 years."
Yeah. And this is another of the unfortunate worlds that we live in. Why being a public company is both positive and negative in that regard. So
Dell kind of skirted around that one by going back private, and kudos to them.
Do you think that there's any impact on us as enthusiasts, as people who were already the general consensus for the enthusiast community over the last several years has been Intel's still not increasing performance. They're still not focusing on us. They're still not creating new products that are interesting to us. Like the 2600 to the was there a 36?
No, 4,000.
4,000s.
It's been a pretty steady percent per generation.
Yeah, but it's been slow. It's been steady, but slow.
That's the problem when you're competing with yourself.
Yeah, but now they don't.
Yourself, it's like, well, we'll make it a little bit more attractive.
But they don't even want to do that anymore.
This is just like the roadmap that we saw back in like 1995 through 2000. It was so incredibly conservative. It was boring.
Yeah.
And you know what? Honestly, they have left the door wide open to AMD, and hopefully Zen will
get into that.
Yeah.
Do something and change that around. But they're letting 12,000 people go, and some of those are probably going to be some very valuable engineers and technicians, and people doing good work in the foundries. And
indeed,
I don't know,
between that and going from TikTok to more like, what is it, a waltz?
TikTok.
Yeah,
it's a waltz now. Yeah,
I mean it. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We can discuss this in future podcasts.
I'm sure it'll come up again.
What it's going to mean. It'll be very interesting to go to IDF this year, assuming they don't cancel it. Right? Maybe all those 12,000 people put on IDF, but go there and talk with their performance teams, the Francois of the world. Be like, okay, so now
I wonder if he's going to keep his job.
I hope so.
That would be crazy. They couldn't let Francois go.
Well. Stranger things have happened.
We can bring him over here. He can work for us.
Yeah.
Okay. What could go wrong? I want you to benchmark these Intel and AMD processors. I bet you're pretty good at that. I can give you $8.
He's like,
can live in wonderful Florence, Kentucky.
You know what? I might let him work remotely. I bet he has pretty good contacts out there.
Poor Francois.
He didn't lose his job. First of all, nobody lost their job yet.
It's true.
Yeah. They're still deciding who to lose, What was the phrasing that they used in their announcement? It was like the restructuring is accelerating or something like that. They're going to decide who they need to restructure on a quick fashion.
I don't think you can restructure a person.
Well, you can
restructure them out the back door.
You restructure them right to a different job.
All right, let's get into some news items here. First up, Jeremy, what do you think about this cooler? This rumored GTX 1080, which apparently is going to be the name now. We've seen too much stuff to say otherwise.
Yep.
It's going to be
1080 cooler. What do you think? You like it?
This picture just looks a little wrong to me.
Why?
I like the chiseled
username.
I like the chiseled thing.
I like the Chinese.
It does look kind of wonky.
But
it looks like it's polygons,
there's a twist on it. It just does not look quite right.
Well,
so you think it's fake still?
I don't know for sure, but I look at it and it's like, there's something not.
Somebody on Twitter pointed me to a picture of of a render of the inside of the NVIDIA building that they may never make. And it's very polygonal and
I can utterly believe this will be the design of it.
I like it.
It's very similar to what we've seen with other ones. It's a little bit more angular, so hey, it's newer, it's recognizable if you're sitting in a case.
It's basically the identical design to what they have today, right?
Yeah.
Silver shroud. There's a window over where the heatsink portion will be. There's one blower fan. The coloring
it's kind of funny
same.
though. If it was painted black and red, I could totally believe it was from a different company.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
No, but you see, what you don't see is the leather jacket underneath.
I like the angled look here. You know,
I mean, NVIDIA's design language for the past 3 years has been triangles everywhere in this.
Yes. Yeah, if you look at the presentations and stuff, it's very polygonal.
Like all of their products.
I'm going to create a new verb here. Polygonalized.
Look at like the shield design and everything. All of the design language with that stuff. Like this has got to be it.
Yeah. This is like the third time we've seen it.
Yeah. The black version of that would look pretty good. Like the 10X version of that.
But I utterly believe it will be the 1080. I believe that this will be one of the designs that you see. Probably the base design.
Yeah.
There's just something about the picture I'm still not convinced about.
But look, there's Chinese paperwork. And it's from Baidu.
Can you read that paperwork? Or is it like strangely out of focus?
It's not strangely out of focus. It's just blurry.
He took it on a Huawei phone.
Yeah. Well, okay. That was shadows. The shadows underneath the GPU are darker than the shadows under the paper on the left.
And there's just something about the rear end of the GPU that just doesn't quite look right.
Josh, you see that light overhead reflecting onto the GTX 980 that would be casting the shadow.
Oh my god, now we're going into the
flash,
NVIDIA moon landing demo.
Oh, it might actually be a phone flash.
Wait. This is actually a rendered photo.
The trick. They've tricked us again.
Damn you, NVIDIA. Why do you keep doing this? Is it rendered? Is it real?
What do you think? You like the name 1080?
No.
I like it.
No, but I can see it.
Seems like the next logical step.
But we're going to go 1180 after this? That's so stupid.
I hope it works on displays over 1080p.
I don't think 1180 will work because the 1.1 is too narrow, like font-wise. Like if you looked at that, if you look at that picture, if you did like a 1.180,
the kerning is all wrong.
Yeah, it's not.
It would take up as much space as 980 does.
I mean, if you made it the
Spanish
GTX
people would
11,
say it would be Yobo.
right, yeah. Yobo, GTX Yobo. I like it.
It seems like it will be 1080, but I can't believe they didn't change the name.
Nah,
I can't believe it.
It
should just call it like the GTX 80.
You can't use that GPU on a 4K display. Clearly, it says 1080 right
That's
on
true.
it.
That's a good thought, actually.
it's going to happen.
There better not be a bug, is all I got to say.
What happens when you get the 1070? Oh, damn it. I didn't know they made monitors like that.
Got to chop off 10 rows of pixels.
I'm going to have to go in and set up a custom resolution in Windows.
Yes.
Right? So here's another interesting bit of rumor news that is also very likely. Apparently, Sony is going to make a new console this year. It's going to be the prototype. The code name is Neo. I don't think it's PlayStation Neo necessarily, but it looks like it would be it to me. They're going to update the PS4 mid-life cycle to have 2 concurrent consoles being sold at the same time, one with the current PS4 hardware and one Neo, which will have upgraded hardware.
Okay.
4K output support, 4K Blu-ray support more than likely, because that's what Sony did with the PS3.
So it sounds like platform compatibility backwards.
Platform compatibility being very important to this,
right.
Where games, I think they even, like the paperwork that Giant Bomb even got on this was like, after October 1st, any game that ships has to have both a base path and a Neo path.
Okay.
Right? It doesn't have to necessarily support 4K rendering or anything like that.
Right.
But it will all be upscaled
the hardware.
to 4K. Yeah, it has to improve something. But you can't have something that only works on Neo that doesn't work on the other one. So like there's not going to be different multiplayer versions. Go ahead, Jeremy.
You'll eventually end up with a Neo exclusive title.
No,
you won't.
Not just a PlayStation exclusive title.
I think they're specifically not.
Specifically not.
According to these docs that links,
can see a developer doing it.
Like Sony won't.
They won't
approve
let
the game.
them sell the game.
Okay, good.
Yeah, the game has to be signed by Sony.
Yeah. So it's interesting. This will be the first time that this has ever happened in the console world. I think we talked about these rumors for Microsoft a little while ago.
What about like 32X?
No, because it wasn't backwards compatible.
Yeah.
Like you had to have a 32X play a 32X game. It was essentially another console. It's just they tried to make it cheaper by letting you plug it into your other console.
Right.
Like Sega CD, that's not they weren't like backwards compatible. So let me talk about what the supposed hardware change is. The CPU is still 8 Jaguar cores, but it gets a bump from 1.6 to 2.1 gigahertz clock speed. Significant.
Yep.
The GPU is moving from GCN to next generation GCN, it says. 18 compute units, which is 1,152 stream processors. That's what the current PlayStation 4 has.
Okay.
This one will have 36 compute units, that's 2,304 stream processors.
On one die with the CPUs?
I would assume so, yes.
Wow.
I don't think they would fundamentally change the design of the chip.
Yeah.
Right? They would both have 8 gigs of GDDR5, but the memory clock speed's a little bit higher, getting you a bump from 176 gigabytes per second to 218 gigabytes per second of bandwidth. That's a good jump, but it's still that's not really that close to like
desktop,
a high-end consumer desktop card. I think
discrete GPUs.
like a R9 390 gets 320 gigabytes per second.
Well, it might not need.
Well, I mean, it's graphics. Like it,
I get it, but I don't know.
So not only are you're more than doubling your stream processors, you're also increasing the clock speed from 800 to 911 megahertz on the GPU.
Okay.
So that's like 15% or something like that increase in that.
Yeah. They kind of need all this if they're trying to go for 4K.
Yeah, let's be honest. This is not enough to really render at 4K still.
Well, they'll do some silly crap like 4K 30 or.
They could, but keep in mind how many games on the PS4 and Xbox One today don't render at 1080p. They're rendering at 720 or 900 and upscaling.
So it'll be 4K.
Maybe
capable.
now you can actually render at 1080 or 1440 and upscale to 4K. Right.
That's probably
either
what'll
way.
happen.
You're getting more power. Right.
Well, that's
sure. And we're talking about 2x as much to 2.2x as much GPU compute power, plus your CPU compute power is going up.
I mean,
it would be more than 2x GPU compute because you're doubling the shaders plus more
higher
efficiency and
a new architecture.
Yeah. I mean, the 1080p upscales well to 4K,
multiply by 4,
but 720 is like it starts looking bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
the debate here is it Polaris or not? Is it going to be based on Polaris, which would mean it's 16 nanometer instead of, or is it 14 nanometer instead of 28? And it would be just a newer, more efficient design, whereas, the equivalent shaders of the Neo, if you were to look at cards available today, is almost an R9 390.
Okay.
Right, which is a power-hungry card. Is that like a 200-watt card?
Yeah.
Or something, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they risk having another PlayStation that's like a hairdryer.
That's true.
If they
could. Yeah.
If they don't get power under control.
Josh, would you think this is Polaris-based?
I don't have a good answer to that because if it's 28 nanometer, it's still going to be the last GCN because why would AMD port Polaris over to an older architecture unless they're planning on selling that to a lot of different people at 28 nanometers, because it's not inconsequential to redesign something that was aimed at 14 nanometer to go back to 28 nanometer.
Yeah.
If it is a 14 nanometer part, why is Jaguar only going up 300 megahertz? They did build some expandability, I guess you could say, and the current PS4 part, because it's about a 320 millimeter square unit. If you were to double the GCN, it would be around 500 millimeters squared. So that's not unheard of. And especially if you're dealing with third generation 28 nanometer, it's inexpensive. It still runs pretty good. And so you could probably keep your TDPs under control as compared to what the PS4 was initially fabricated at. And they could do a lot of tweaks in there to increase power efficiency, apply some of the the declocking mechanisms that we've seen in other their products, as well as what they did with Hawaii when they went from the R9 290 and 290X to the R9 390 90X, which was not huge, but it was still a significant jump in power efficiency per clock.
Right. I mean, would it be a complicated thing so let's say they move to 14 nanometer, it's Polaris. Is it complicated to move Jaguar cores to 14 nanometer from 28?
Not as much. I mean, they would apply rules, they would tweak it, but if they're just worried about porting Jaguar from 28 to 14 and not worrying about, hey, let's double the efficiency, let's get higher clock speeds at lower power. If you don't worry about that stuff, I can see them getting, the 300 to 500 megahertz of increase by jumping to 14 nanometer and just doing the very basic amount of work to port that design to 14 nanometer.
Right.
Here's my crazy thought of the week.
Let's hear it,
This
Ken.
is probably mostly impossible. Could you take a 14 nanometer GPU and a 28 nanometer CPU and put them both on an interposer?
Yes.
You could. Josh asked Raja that exact question.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they could do that. We would know immediately because we'd be able to take apart a system, right, and figure that out. But, and there's the other reason, other indications that they're using Polaris is that it would have to support HDMI 2.0.
Yep.
Right.
Well,
4K
I mean,
60.
they could change the display controller on.
Right. They could.
That's relatively simple because that's a pretty small part of the GPU.
Sure. It's fairly modular, so they could. They could do that, but could they? I guess they could also add H.265 and all that stuff.
Yeah,
doesn't it
just
already
as easily?
support H.265?
I think it already
Polaris does.
No, it
Polaris is
doesn't
the
look
first.
like. Well,
Yeah, I think it does. I think
Only
Hawaii and
Polaris
beyond.
supports H.265 main decode up to 4K.
oh, really? So HDR support would be
HDR
probably
support
a
would be in
Polaris
there.
only thing that
Yeah.
would be more difficult to bring back.
I mean, it's still display controller stuff. It's
I don't think
display
HDR is
controller
display
bandwidth.
controller stuff. I think someone we were talking to said it's surprisingly more complicated than that
Yeah.
in the hardware side.
So this is pretty interesting. I imagine that this will all be announced at E3 in June. Would be my guess. Now that all this information is out there, you'd be nuts to buy a PS4.
Yeah,
True.
Right? Especially like this Giant Bomb story said the price of the Neo was supposed to be $399, which is bonkers to me. Right? What's a PS4 sell for today? $349?
I think you can get them like 300
Can you?
occasionally.
Okay.
You'd be pretty stupid to buy a UHD Blu-ray player right now, as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's say this is something that's probably not going to be out until Christmas holiday time.
Still,
even
but-
if they announce it in June,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
But one of those
So-
Blu-ray players currently costs $400, so potentially for $400 or
or
$500
$500,
you could get a game console with it.
yeah. Anyway, I find this pretty cool. I imagine that Microsoft is working on the same type of thing, right? Like we actually heard the rumors about the Xbox One getting an update before the PS4. We just happen to have this leak and additional information about the PS4 earlier than I thought. So
Yeah.
Which could be another reason why AMD would be way more comfortable putting the effort into porting Jaguar to 14 nanometer if they were also going
they're
to sell it
gonna
to
get
Microsoft.
a second customer for it.
Because that's big money.
Yep. Quickly, before we move on to our next story, I got some pledges here to thank. Samuel Asvado pledged $5.69. Hassan Raza pledged $4.20
Of course.
Yeah, outstanding.
Somebody had to do it.
because just because. But then Edward Jang pledged $30.
Awesome.
$30. Thank you, Edward, for that. All right, moving on. Let's see. Yeah, we're approaching our Facebook limit.
Uh-oh.
So we got to get to these stories here. ASUS. Wait a minute. Did we not talk about this last week?
Nope.
He
ASUS
talked about it on
announced-
Twitch.
Oh yeah. ASUS announces a trio of adaptive sync gaming monitors.
Okay. So FreeSync.
Adaptive sync is the standard on which FreeSync is built.
So they're not FreeSync certified?
They're not FreeSync certified, which is
Should still
odd.
work.
They should still work
Yeah.
as long as they integrate adaptive sync completely
Yeah.
and correctly.
Where they're not putting it on box.
AMD's FreeSync would so it'll work on AMD GPUs. It won't work on NVIDIA GPUs. Wouldn't
Sure.
it be awesome if Pascal was released and it supported adaptive sync?
It would be very nice, actually. Do you see that happening, though?
I'm putting the thoughts out there.
We could put them out there all we want. I just don't
Positive
think it's gonna
vibes in
happen.
the universe.
I think they'll do it. I think
20
NVIDIA's gonna
cents,
do it.
20 cents a gig, and
It's
or
10 cents
a gig.
We've already crossed 20 cents.
10 cents a gig,
10
and
cents a gig
Pascal adaptive sync support.
I'm not going to say Pascal. I'm going to say by the end of 2016.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll put both of those on. End of 2016, 10 cents per gig,
Okay.
GPUs, and adaptive sync SSDs.
I will update the pool.
Yeah, please do that.
All right.
Jeremy, anything in particular stand out here about these monitors? Or we're looking at fairly standard new feature sets, right?
Yeah, I mean, from the response rate they describe on the larger one at 1 millisecond, it's probably going to be a TN panel, which
it would have to
upsets
be.
many people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The others are IPS, as you would pretty much hope. So they're nice. They keep going with their 144 megahertz, their 144 hertz upper limit. They've got the
you wouldn't need adaptive anything.
They've still got their Game Plus, which I know that you guys have played with, which is nice because you can tweak with the monitor and the on-screen display as opposed to having to get right into it to play with it.
Yeah, it looks like there's a 28-inch TN 4K.
Yeah.
And then there is a 24. There are two 24 inches.
One's a 4K, one's a 1080.
Right.
Yeah.
A 24-inch 4K is
It's a little crowded.
a little much.
Yeah.
I feel.
Seems a little miserable for Windows Desktop.
That 250% scaling is going to have to come back into play, I feel like.
Yeah.
For sure there. But rounding out the lineup here, so like getting variable refresh in more stuff is always good.
Sure.
So we support.
I mean, displays should come with just either one or the other at this point, really. Like,
Pretty much.
or both.
Or both.
Computex coming up.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know anything about this. I'm just putting it out there so somebody will
You're just hoping.
Someone's bound to do it at
just
some point.
have
right?
it so you can go into a firmware and it reboots the monitor and the other controller. You could do it.
That could be a thing.
IDF Shenzhen, Intel's demos, 3D Crosspoint Optane file copy. What's interesting about this?
That it's a really bad demo.
That's the interesting part?
Well, so, they showed a copy over Thunderbolt 3 to an external connected, assuming it's also NVMe device, probably like PCIe by 4, just bridged over
So what are we talking about? At
3.
IDF in China, somebody from Intel was on stage, they were talking about...
They talked about Crosspoint in general, like how
which
it
is
works.
their new storage tech.
And actually, the video is kind of interesting to watch, at least the first half of it, because they're showing like kind of this nifty,
This is Rob Crook,
like 3D virtual or like augmented reality.
Yeah, the stuff here.
But they show kind of like how the bits are written in red. They don't show it in super detail, but they give you the general kind of like simple visualization of how does it happen, right? So that part of it's cool. And, showing that earlier in there, they're talking about their 3D NAND, actually. And then they move to the Crosspoint. So in that same video, you have a little bit of 3D NAND, and then you have some Crosspoint and like floating tablets and stuff, stuff on the screen. So,
look at it.
They show the Crosspoint, how it works, how it's laid out, that kind of thing.
Sure.
And then they go to a demo.
Yep.
And they've demonstrated Crosspoint in the past at IDF, actually the IDF that you were at, IDF 2015. Right, because the pictures from the article came from your phone, I believe, from the audience.
Okay.
At that event, right? Which I cited in this thing, as they showed very large differences then, right? They were showing like 4K random performance versus a NAND equivalent. Like here, you have an NVMe NAND versus NVMe Crosspoint. Look at the difference in like Q depth of one random IO, and it was like more than 10 times faster or something like that. It was insane difference, right? This demo, they decided to just do sequential transfer to a thing that might be bottlenecked in other places in the chain. Like it was connected over Thunderbolt 3 to an adapter to, like, I assume PCI by 4 for the Crosspoint side of this demo, and then like for the NAND comparison, they compared it to a SATA SSD, which is not even a fair equivalent comparison. Like you're comparing a PCIe by 4 thing to a SATA device.
You're comparing the most future storage we can think of, with the most mundane implementation of Flash today.
And then the other thing is that since I think there are bottlenecks elsewhere in the Optane side of the demo, like that, I think that 2 gigabyte per second limit that they saw, I think Optane can go faster than this. I'm pretty sure Optane can pretty much saturate 4 PCIe lanes. In sequential. So it just seems like that part was bottlenecked. But because of that, if you actually know Intel's NAND SSD lines, like we've tested over a year ago now, like P3700 goes 2 gig per second.
A P3700 is a PCI Express based NAND SSD. Flash SSD.
Yes.
It
would be the same kind of connection.
A data center, like an enterprise class.
Sure. But then again, so is Optane.
Sure.
Right? Like Optane's going to be marketed more for enterprise kind of stuff, right? So it was just, I mean, I guess it was a good idea on paper for somebody to try to they just wanted to show it working.
It shows the biggest difference if you don't exactly know what's going on. You look at 500 megs to 2 gigabytes and go, oh my God.
Yeah, it looks like, wow, that's like so much better, but it was kind of a poor choice for a demo. So I just hope their next demo, like, just go back to the random IO stuff or show other things or show it actually, like, what's the true kind of sequential you can get on PCIe by 4 or something. You know. I just wish
Here's the picture I took from IDF.
Right.
Where they're talking about Optane, and this IOPS measurement is the P3700 running 84,000 IOPS, 85,000 IOPS.
Yep. Versus
464,000 IOPS.
Yeah.
And that's 3D Crosspoint early SSD.
And I think that was the QDEPT number.
It is QDEPT, yeah.
Yeah. So that's like, a reasonably loaded down workload, and like, it's just, obviously there's good advantages there. And it was just, when you do a demo like this, like there was a Register article that came out, then they just kind of poo-pooed all over Optane because of that demo. Like the new one.
Yeah,
and
seems like a poor decision.
Yeah.
Seems like a poor decision. NZXT, helping the Earth, if you will. When was Earth Day? Is that coming up, or does that already happen?
Every day's Earth Day.
That's true.
All right. Noted.
Unless you hang out on Mars.
Josh is the biggest Earth supporter.
Earth.
Welcome to Earth.
It's where I keep all my stuff.
Yeah, well, I keep all mine here too.
On Earth?
On Earth.
Yep.
Okay.
On Earth.
NZXT announces a partnership with the Human IT for Earth Day recycling program. This is not just on Earth Day.
You asked when Earth Day is. It's literally like the fifth
I saw that
word
as soon as I clicked over to it. Look, this is me trying to engage the other people on this podcast to actually talk about. Oh, Ryan, that's coming up. It's on the 22nd, which is
I'm glad you know
Friday.
what that day is.
Friday.
Because I didn't know what Earth Day is.
It's the first line of the article he's showing.
Well, he's
it's-
giving me crap.
Yeah.
You stay over there, hit those buttons and things.
Well, don't give him crap. Give NZXT your crap. Or, well, rather give, what is it, Humanity? Or is it Human IT?
Yours is probably better.
I see the joke now.
Yeah, no, I looked at it.
But it could be Human IT because it's like human information technology.
Sure.
Like we're trying to humanize it. We're trying to make it good for humans on Earth to make
IT.
it.
Oh,
IT.
the humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah, or
Yep.
that. I actually don't know the answer to that. So what's the deal here, Jeremy? What are they setting up?
Well, admit it, you've got crap.
I might.
You might call it legacy hardware. You might call it, I'm planning on doing something with it someday. Be honest, it's crap. One of the problems is it's a pain in the arse to recycle because you've either got to get someone to come to you or you've got to take it somewhere. Mm-hmm. So the NZXT is starting this program on Earth Day. It's not going to end. You take a picture.
Unless, of course, the
your
sweet meteor of death decides to come and visit us.
Fingers crossed, Josh. Fingers crossed. Right, so you take a picture of your stuff. You describe the stats of the equipment and whether it works or not.
Right.
They will immediately, within a day, tell you whether it's accepted or not. If it's accepted, they will ship you a box. You then load your crap into the box and ship it back to them. And if your stuff works, you get a 15% off coupon for any purchase of NZXT stuff. If your crap doesn't work, you still get 10% off. So not only do you get rid of all of that stuff that's sitting there just collecting dust, you don't have to put much effort into it, and there's a good chance you're going to get some money back on it. So it seems like a no-brainer. The only thing I couldn't see on this was where do they ship from? I don't know if it's U.S. only or not.
I'm going to say U.S. only for now.
I think so for now.
Yeah. I mean, man, shipping international is super expensive.
Oh, shit.
Now, let me click over here to this this page.
Shipping to Canada kind of blows because I shipped
your pants
like $150 worth of computer gear up there, and I paid $36 to ship. They had to pay $50 in taxes and.
That's because you don't know how to ship. You got to write. It's a gift.
Yeah, you dummy.
Not for retail value.
I did as a gift. That's the crazy thing.
It's worth $1.
Yeah, everything I ship is worth $1.
Well, apparently your friend is a little too honest.
I mean, I'm sorry. Please don't check up on me. Did we lose Josh? Did you say something?
I'm still here. I said sorry, Hewlett.
It got too quiet.
It happens.
Real quiet.
I don't even care that much about the discount code. Just someone to take all my crap.
Do they?
Yeah, well, that's
so do
the
they pay
benefit.
for shipping?
Yes. You get a box with a prepaid envelope.
Oh, they send you a box too?
Gone.
Oh man. I'm gonna do this with
it's
stuff
like the stupidest, easiest thing.
Relatively new, but I just don't want
R9
anymore.
290s.
Yeah.
What about all those cases in the closet?
Yeah.
If they send me a box that I can put those cases in, I will gladly.
You don't need to move into a church anymore. We'll clear this place out.
All 3 of those shelves will be gone tomorrow.
Or you could just build something.
For 15% off.
For 15% off of a case from NZXT. That I don't want to buy because I just filled the closet again. Damn it. Let's talk about a couple more things, Alan. Western Digital announced the 8 terabyte gold data center hard drive.
Yeah, it's a new line.
Look at it.
They're kind of gonna.
So that's not Josh. There you go. It's so gold.
So.
In rose gold too?
No.
Goldfinger?
Gold.
Are they painting the platters gold and putting windows in?
No.
Lame.
So what they are doing, from the looks of it, because if you have a keen eye, the model number carries over from what was the 6 terabyte RE. So the RE series is just not going to be an RE series anymore.
Gold?
It's going to roll into the gold series. Probably
Gold
the same.
gold?
Probably the same for the 4 terabyte model and any other RE series models.
You know, rolled gold is pretty good.
Well,
It is.
as opposed to Ken, who rolls coal.
And salty.
Not as good as Molson Golden, though.
All right, so imagine everything up to 6 terabyte from RE series, which was 7200 RPM enterprise drives, just becomes gold. And then they also add an 8 terabyte capacity, which you might guess is going to be an
Helium.
HE8.
Yep.
But except, imagine the red 8 terabyte, but now spinning at 7200 RPM and having all of the enterprise features enabled. Right.
So if you buy this, will you become a member of the gold member?
Only if you touch the drive.
Maybe. So there's actually some better benefits than you might think over the other like RE series drives. There's some IP that Western Digital gets from HDST that goes into what was the HE8 on the HDST side.
Okay.
It had this thing called media cache technology, which is basically like it has different sectors or different tracks interleaved with the main storage tracks on the drive. Okay. And it can kind of do what an SSD does for random writes. It can kind of write combine to some extent on those interleaved tracks. So if you're hitting the drive with continuous random writes, it can basically do that at supposedly twice the performance of a drive that wasn't doing that.
Is that new to this gold series?
That would be new to this Western Digital drive of any kind.
Okay.
But it was a feature that was in the HE8.
Okay.
Right.
Gotcha.
And I believe the HE6 as well. I think it was just an HDST technology that they put in their enterprise line. So that'll be interesting.
Going to an Exchange server near you.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be interesting to see. And there's a whole, all the stuff where it's a helium sealed drive. You don't have to worry about
dedicated
atmosphere.
premium support line and WD gold model numbers.
Yeah, I think they kind of already did a support line thing. I just don't think they advertised it for RE because RE was more.
Let's call them right now.
I think they probably didn't want to be a company that sold HE drives and RE and XE and SE drives because that's just confusing because one means way different.
There was that. And so some of these other models have already kind of gone away because the XE was their enterprise version of the Velociraptor, right? Their enterprise line of the Velociraptor. So the Velociraptor, I don't even think you can get anymore. Right? Even if you wanted to. I don't think it's a thing anymore.
What if the drive identifies as XE?
What do you mean?
That it can't use the bathroom in North Carolina.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay.
I get it. Relevant.
Kind of, yeah.
Timely joke, Josh.
Timely joke. Good job.
Okay.
Yeah, so...
And in poor taste, as usual.
So the XE drives, they're not even listed on Western Digital's site anymore. They weren't listed on them even before this press release went up. Okay. And I would imagine that the SE and the RE, the SE is probably just going to kind of give way to the red. Because now you have helium 8 terabyte reds that basically do the same thing that the SE did. Yeah. Kinda. So SE will probably go away and RE is becoming gold. So there you have it. It consolidate some lines, make things easier.
Then we'll have the SEXE drives.
Sexy.
Okay, so that's the Western Digital Gold.
Yep.
Say less exciting than I maybe thought. I thought the name was going to be like
What, gold-plated platters or something?
Yeah, like
The gold's not magnetic.
So
Just spray paint it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, even the outside of it could be gold.
Well, the label will be gold.
That'd be pretty funny.
The label will have a striped gold.
The red bar at the top and bottom, it'll be a
but
gold.
I want the drive.
That'd be pretty funny
just
if they
want
made
gold
the drive
plated?
gold.
Yeah, I would get Windows.
I don't even
for
care if
my
it's
hard.
plated. Just
What if they
just
put
paint it.
Windows in hard drive?
Well, listen, it's
and
aluminum.
you just made the window gold
They
tinted.
should anodize it gold.
Yeah, they've done that.
It's an aluminum enclosure for a drive. It's sealed, so you could send it off.
Well,
Have it-
the 8 terabyte is sealed.
If it's sealed, I could just spray paint it myself, right?
It's true.
Well, yeah.
Oh no, get some
Well, I really
gold
want
foil.
You run it anodized. You don't want to just spray paint.
And it's spray paint's cheaper.
Okay,
Whatever.
so we'll do that.
Okay. Up next, DroboAccess enables SSL. Excuse me. Choking up over the story. Enables SSL encrypted remote file access for 2 of their Drobo devices, the 5N and the B810N. One of them being a 5-bay network attached device, the other one being an 8-bay network attached device.
Yes.
So what is DroboAccess? This is a way for you to access your files on your Drobo when you are not with your Drobo?
Correct. Like from outside of your network. In other words, just somewhere else, right? Imagine it's like Drobo. It's Drobo's version of kind of like Dropbox or even Transporter, if you want to think about it that way, right?
Yeah. Which was a company they own.
Yeah, but I think they kind of split again.
Yeah, I think they spun back out.
They spun back
really?
off again. Yeah.
That's weird.
So there's Drobo apps that are supported on those NAS style devices that
Those have been
Drobo
around for a
has,
while.
right? And it's third party can make their own things. There's actually a surprising number of things that are on there, in that respect. There's even like OwnCloud, which is kind of like the same kind of thing, but it's a third party app, right? So these are Drobo supported apps that are more, developed by Drobo, not third party, that kind of thing. The interesting thing I find about all of those my Drobo supported apps is that all of them have end-to-end SSL encryption for the link.
Okay.
So in other words, you have to have your Drobo like registered with the company first, because they're not just going to like start generating SSL, giving you SSL keys, which is actually kind of a compute intensive thing to do,
Sure.
and like registration and all these hoops.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a pain in the butt to set up, right?
It is.
But in this case, it's not. You just have to be registered with Drobo. In other words, for like you register for your warranty, right? That's the only stipulation. And then you install the My Drobo app, and then you install either the DroboAccess or they also have Koken, which is like a photo website thing you could put up if you wanted to share your photos out, or WordPress if you wanted a WordPress blog, right? Those are your 3 options.
WordPress off of your Drobo.
Yeah. So the Drobo, that's actually a Drobo app too. But the thing I focused on for this piece was the brand new thing, which was DroboAccess. But any of those 3, you basically choose a subdomain name, and if it's not taken, they give you a SSL 2K cert. They do it all in the background. It takes like 10 seconds.
So if you wanted to have PCper or joshtech.mydrobo.com.
HTTPS
Yeah.
joshtech.com.
Sorry, yes.
Yeah, you could have...
No,
and it would be-
joshtech.mydrobo.com.
So it would be HTTPS to get there, right? And it would it just how seamless they just do the cert. It gets sent to your Drobo in the background. It all basically you click like 2 boxes and type in a name you want, and it just does all this stuff. And then just going to that URL suddenly gets you to that service on your Drobo. So pretty cool idea, right? We're working on some speed issues that it looks like they have because they run a
All
relay
traffic
server.
has to go through their server and then out again
It has to go
because of the
through-
SSL encryption.
Yes, but they have told me it's like a 10 gigabit server and like it's supposed to be pretty quick, stuff like that, but we weren't seeing full speed yet, and they're troubleshooting basically. So
We weren't even seeing 10 megabit.
yeah, we weren't seeing 10 megabit. Anyway,
I mean, it could work out. It could be pretty cool.
yeah, it's kind
But
of
you
like
had some nasty problems with it too, didn't you?
it wasn't nasty problems. It's just like the app is a little clunky right now, but it's like the first version of the
So
app for
is there?
iOS
You mentioned Dropbox in this. Is there a way for me to? So if I have a different PC, if I'm at home,
right?
We had one here. Do I access it strictly through the web? Is there a standalone application for the PC that I use to access files?
Not
off
like
of it?
Dropbox, not yet.
Okay, so it's just accessing files through the web for now,
it's
or
not
through any of those other third-party.
It's not a sync.
Apps, right?
It's not a sync. It's very much like oh crap, I need that one file off of.
Well, even if it I could access it as if I were local to it, type of thing.
Not yet.
Okay.
No, there's an app for iOS and Android. You can read files just to access them, and that's nothing more than just clicking through the file structure and just tapping on the thing, and it just opens it, right?
Are any of the other Drobo apps maybe kind of doing anything like that?
Yeah, there's other ones like OwnCloud, and I think there's like a whole section of file sharing.
Now, would those
apps.
take advantage of the SSL pathway yet? No, not yet. Okay.
That's the thing. And if it did, you might have to get that SSL cert on your own and pay money, stuff like that. So, Drobo just tries to make their whole thing is as far as the drives, if a drive fails, a light turns red, you know which one to do. Everything's supposed to be super as easy as possible, right? So I'm just surprised that they made an SSL registration and application to a subdomain and everything just happened so seamlessly.
Okay.
So kudos to them for that part. And then they still got to work on some other parts, obviously, but they're getting there.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a cool thing.
So let's get to our hardware.
So I've got to ask.
Okay, you may.
Must ask.
What
happened to the Johnny Sheen news?
Oh, I didn't see that.
I posted that.
Yeah, you did. Our longtime friend and fan of PC Perspective, Johnny
Sheen.
Was he a fan, or were we a fan of him?
Oh, he was obviously a fan of us.
We quoted him so much.
Obviously,
he was the CEO. Of ASUS.
Chairman, let's bring this back. It makes it sound like he died.
Years. Thank you. What?
No, he didn't.
We're making it sound like he died.
Well, the post was very sad too.
The words "new life" are actually in the title.
That is true.
No, but we didn't say the title of the article yet. We just said we're gonna miss Johnny Sheen.
Well, we are going to miss him.
He is resigning, apparently. Is this a confirmed thing now, Jeremy, or is this still
No, it's still a rumor.
Not a confirmed...
well, it's based on the fact that they're looking for a new chairman.
Maybe you can work it into.
There's a LinkedIn job opening, is what you're saying.
And if you go to asus.com/jobs.
Go to BluRayTechnology.com.
Oh, yeah, it's kind of sad. But
the chairman is, of ASUS... Johnny Shih, who well known throughout our podcast fans for his stage presence, I'll say.
Accent.
Looks like he's going to be resigning, quitting, retiring, whatever you want to call it. And Josh was very saddened by this news.
Moving on to brewer pastures.
Is it going to change the pricing of ASUS products?
It will.
They're actually going to end in 96 now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would like it if everybody just ended in a 0.
And there will be no more thank yous at the keynotes.
Thank you.
It'll be
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, just think of all the different inflections we'll have to emulate.
It'll be thank Johnny.
Yeah.
That's true.
They'll always have a nod back towards Johnny. So now we'll get onto our picks of the week. Mine is kind of fun. It counts as software, I guess. It's software in a car. This is, you can, if you have Tesla with autopilot, you can make it drive on the Rainbow Road. And also it plays the More Cowbell section of the SNL skit of Blue Oyster Cult.
Yes, it plays
for about 4 seconds. Right? So if you're driving in autopilot and you hit the little wand thing 4 more times, it actually changes the pathway your car is driving on.
Along with More Cowbell.
It puts this colorful pattern on there. And apparently even when you change lanes, and it plays the More Cowbell. Donk, 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 donk. It's probably maybe
like
3 to 4 seconds.
It's like a 2-second sample.
It's not very long.
But
and I've also noticed when I've done it that it doesn't do it at the volume of your stereo. It does it as a set volume that's fairly low. So if you have the windows down or something like that, you can't. Actually.
The next thing it should do is queue up "Don't Fear the Reaper" because that's exactly what you want to listen to.
After you hear the cowbell start, you want to actually listen to the full.
It's like,
song.
oh no, I got you. It should be like, I got you.
Yeah.
You just hit.
Also, I will tell you, they don't show here, but the animation of the colors slows down and speeds up as your car slows up and slows down. So if you're stopped, you get this colored rainbow pattern that's just still,
there.
and as the car starts to move, it slowly moves with it. So they actually spent more time than they should have
development time on this
to integrate that. And this was all this was after Elon Musk's tweet about activate autopilot 4 times in quick succession for psychedelic Cowbell Road.
Yeah.
They can't call it Rainbow Road because that's a Nintendo thing.
And it keeps going until you kill your autopilot. Until you hit the brakes
it will go on for as long as it's...
Yeah.
But the music won't. The music...
No. It just sits there and just
stops.
animates this Rainbow Road.
We're out
The real question is,
Yeah.
are red lights an in-app purchase? Like if you want to see a red light coming up, is that something you got to pay extra
Not
for?
yet. I would pay extra for that, for sure.
When you activate that DLC, does police start playing? The police start playing?
I would even like red lights, the notification, just as the warning, the collision warning, because you're about to run a red light.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Although I don't know how...
Not for autopilot to
That
stop
seems
you.
like a legal mess.
Well, no.
No, I don't mean for autopilot to stop at the red light. I mean for just as a
beep
warning.
to alert you.
Yeah, but when does it beep?
If it thinks there's a red light, you're about to run.
Yeah, but at what's the threshold to
The same thing for a collision.
I don't know. Yeah, same thing as if you were going to collide.
You're going to end up in the middle of the intersection if you don't stop braking now.
But
Start braking now, right? Not to auto brake, but to warn you at
You
another
can also do
time.
that for stop signs, too.
Also, I bet it's not a fixed time interval. They can't tell that.
You're going
What's
to end
not
up in the
fixed
middle
time?
of the
Like the amount
intersection
of
unless you started braking then.
the amount of time a traffic light spends in yellow is not a fixed interval.
Right. It'd have to be for it to be red.
Yeah, actually red.
Yeah, but if the
Well, if it knows that you're sorry, no way you're stopping for that, then it just doesn't warn you because it knows you're going to blow the red light.
no, so it doesn't know when it's going to go from yellow to red. It doesn't know exactly when
sure.
that flip is going to happen. So how can it warn you?
It can warn you when the light is red.
Yeah.
If you're driving and you don't see a red light.
Yeah.
Why do you need a warning if the light's red? Just look up.
Well, pretty much any time that I have
But
just
you're
blown
watching
through
the
a red
Rainbow
light,
Road.
anytime I've blown through a red light,
that's
it
right.
has
Looking at
been
the road.
red for a while, and I just
Yeah.
didn't notice it was red.
Yeah.
Thank God, in the very few times in my life that
I'm
that's happened.
making a citizen's arrest right now.
Why are
We
you
have
running red
recorded.
lights all the time?
It's not an all the time thing, but just
Come on, just throw a red shell at 'em.
if
Statute of limitations is up since the last time I ran a red light.
collision avoidance stuff on this car or any other car that has it, it beeps and alerts you when it says, hey, you need to pay attention. You're coming up on a car quicker than you should.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, you might hit that car,
It's the same.
or
same
you
safety
might run
feature.
that red light.
I think probably what it comes down
It's
to
not
is
you
the
might run that red light. It's you would be running that red light.
I mean, obviously, if
No,
it
you
if it
just ran
changes,
that
I know
red
what you're
light.
talking about. And if it changes to red, it's
No, he's
you know,
saying you would want it to alert you if there's a yellow, right?
but that would be impossible.
yeah, that would be too hard.
It
to do.
wouldn't be impossible, right? Especially if you're telling it not to stop you, if you're just telling it to alert you.
Sure.
And besides, it's not a good idea, Ken, because the second someone sees a yellow light, that means go faster.
Yeah, exactly. That was my point.
Whatever.
Yeah, I mean it's an interesting thing, but it's more of a computer vision issue, I think, for anything like recognizing a red light when there are brake
Versus
lights
somebody's
everywhere.
tail
That's true
Yeah.
too.
lights.
Yeah. That's probably what the issue is.
Well, it's at a different altitude.
unless if there's a hill,
Yeah,
right?
How about a bus?
it's true.
A bus that
Or
you're
a
real
bus.
close to.
Like that you're about to come
Really
in contact
close.
with, and it should alert you. But it's doing that alert based on radar and sonar,
Yeah.
not lights or whatever. So
Anyway,
You're about to run into a school bus, run a red light, or be abducted by aliens. We're not sure, but we're
one
going
of
to beat
those
that.
things. But beep beep beep.
You
beep,
should
beep,
hit the
beep.
brakes.
Yeah, we should
Regardless.
probably stop this car now. All right, moving on. Jeremy.
I found a decent deal for us Canucks. The i5 4690K, which is perhaps not the best thing on the market, but at $290 Canadian, is actually a serious discount.
Yeah.
The caveat is buy it now. You got about 3 hours left because it's one of those Amazon flash specials.
Sorry, everybody listening on the downloaded version of the pod.
This is why you should sign up for our mailing list and come watch us live.
That's true.
Because
That's true.
you just missed out on a deal. It's not bad. So if you're looking at doing an upgrade because, you're looking at, I want to upgrade to VR and I want some nice USB 3 support. I'm looking at a new system. That's a pretty decent price for up here.
Yeah.
It's about $350 American.
Tree fitty.
Yeah,
Wait,
and,
no.
it'll cost less than that in
Yes.
American too.
$420.
$3.50.
About
Not
$420
$350.
American dollars. Josh, we can make that joke for 10 minutes here in the Eastern Time Zone.
Hopefully my internet holds up. But you know what? Not everybody needs the highest end power supply.
Yes.
HEC makes a really solid unit that I've experienced their products before, and it was one of the most stable power supplies I had in between the 2000 and 2005 era. But for $32 and a 400 water, it's a nice deal. It's well made. It's well ventilated. And you know what? Not everybody needs the biggest, greatest, and most efficient. This works nice for a lot of folks.
Customers who view this also view the Samsung 950 Pro Series 512 PCIe NVMe M2.
Yeah. Wow. They obviously have
available for significantly more money.
Yeah.
I'm sure this is a very nice power supply. It just kind of looks like a piece of crap. It looks like an included power supply.
Wow. The power supply's turning into an iPad.
What?
Moving on. Alan?
So I saw that faster iPad Pro thing in the smaller form factor that's not a freaking table and decided to get one. And it kind of grew on me. At first I was like, I don't know. But,
Wait, what the hell? You were going to return it.
I was.
Like literally days ago.
I was. But then I started doing stuff on it, and it was like pretty dang fast.
What'd you do on it? Tell me what you did on it that made it
side by side. Like
fast.
I can work on article drafts like in Word with side by side with like the website up.
Oh, come on. It was Defense Grid, wasn't it?
On iPad?
I don't know.
No.
Could be on there.
If it is, I don't know. I don't think
so. You think this is faster. So that's why you like it.
And the extra RAM that it has it lets it do the 2 at a time stuff, and it's actually practical. And
the 2, you're talking about side by side?
Side by side stuff, yeah.
And the regular iPad doesn't do that?
No.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does.
The iPad Air 2 does it.
Yeah, the iPad Air 2 absolutely does side by side.
I'm not talking like just the simple little swipe it in a little bit.
No, we're talking about the same thing you're talking about.
Okay, well it
was added just with the less software.
This by definition has to do it faster than the Air 2.
By definition, yes, because it has a faster processor.
Yes, it has more processor
and more RAM, I believe, as well.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. So Apple users can experience the joy of a side-by-side error as well.
Anyway, and speakers are pretty dang good on this.
Yeah, they're supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
Supposed to be are there 4 of them on this one, or just 4 of them on the other one?
There's 4 speakers, and I tested it.
4 speaker audio.
Found something that just played like only on the left side, and like as you rotate it, it actually crossfades the audio to the correct
like when
speakers on the left and right.
When it detects the
it follows
like when the video changes or the screen changes rather.
But I mean, it can get like I just had it sitting on the table, just like playing some music, and I mean, it's getting to pretty good, for a freaking iPad.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
did you get the keyboard for it?
Not yet.
So you're telling me you're working on article drafts on this thing without the keyboard attachment?
For now, I really want the keyboard.
Because you know what you should get?
That'll make it significantly
Let me
easier.
interest you in a laptop.
Oh, well.
I just reviewed a great, inexpensive.
I have one here.
Yeah.
You have one here?
Yeah, I do have one here.
You don't have to wait for the keyboard to come in.
That's true. It's true. I know.
Oh, and that has a trackpad and a cursor.
Yeah, I know. But you don't like the clicky sounds, so,
It's not my laptop. It's for you.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
How much more is this than an iPad Air 2?
It's the same price as the iPad Air 2 was.
Yeah.
Okay, but how much is an iPad Air 2?
It's $100 difference, I think. It's $400 versus $500 now, I think.
Yeah, and
this starts at $500?
Yeah, pretty sure.
It's a pretty reasonable price for what it is.
If you're gonna buy an iPad,
the only gripe I have with it,
if you're gonna buy an iPad, probably I would agree with you.
The only gripe I have with it,
$599 is what this starts at.
That the camera sticks out the back, and it does so further than an iPhone 6 does. Yes.
Yeah, so that starts at $599. The iPad Air 2 starts at
$499.
$399. So there's $200 difference.
But I think it comes with more storage on the base model, or something. I thought there was something that made it.
Yeah, the iPad Air 2 starts at $399. So, and you can get it in silver, gold, or space gray.
They reduced that though when
this one came out. Yeah. All right. Well,
I mean,
I am flabbergasted. I saw that link in there. I was like, oh, he was going to tell everybody not to buy one of these.
No,
totally changed.
I mean, you have to. So what I had the original Air,
Yep.
right? So the generation before the one you have,
Sure.
right? And that thing was just kind of slow, even like when I got it. To me,
What are you talking about?
How can
No, it really just felt.
No, it was not slow. It was the fastest iPad that had existed.
I get it.
Okay. I don't know what you're talking
But
about.
If you're splitting hairs, I'm pissing off.
But
Oh god.
no, but to do this,
we're done.
To do the stuff I wanted to do on it, like Office apps and stuff like that, they just did not perform that well on that one.
It's hurting my head a lot.
Just
Okay.
saying. Anyway.
All right, that's it. The end of the show. We're done.
Yeah.
We're not even. There's no closing.
No. 420. That's it.
Yeah, we gotta get out here before midnight. Otherwise, we'll be at.
I'm already
4:21.
blazed out.
That's it.
I could tell you felt like that the whole episode. PCPro.com/podcast, everybody. PCPro.com/ that's it. Just the website. Go there and see all the stuff that we posted. This is Ken's last official week here. He says he's going to come back and do the podcast still. Is that still the case?
Ironically, maybe not next week. We'll see.
Yeah, I told you to
might have
staple him
something
to the
going
chair.
on next week. Yeah, I know.
This is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Look, Alan's changed his mind about his iPads.
Yep.
Ken's changed his mind about coming back to do podcasts already. I'm just, doors locked. They're going to be changed tomorrow. That is it.
How about I change my mind about being irrational?
Irrational or rational?
Irrational.
Yes.
No.
Sounds boring.
Yeah.
Yeah. But either way, it's fine. At this point, whatever. We will be here in some capacity next week regardless with another episode of our show. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I'm Ryan Shrout.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walraff.
And I'm Alan Mamontano.
Bye.
So tired.